Hello everyone, I am Kapila here, your English teacher, and today we'll take up the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. Tiger in the Zoo was written by Leslie Norris, who was a Welsh poet. He was born in 1921 and died in 2006. His works won him the Cholmondeley Poetry Award and Catherine Mansfield Award. He has beautifully portrayed the theme of wildlife conservation in this poem through the contrast of an animal that is kept in the natural habitat and the one that is kept in captivity in a zoo. Here he has talked of a tiger, one who is there in the zoo and the one who is there in the natural habitat. Let's read the poem, but before we read it, have a look at the words that have been used here in the poem. Now, let us read the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. He should be snarling around houses, at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. But he's locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So beautifully here in this poem, the poet portrays how is the behavior of an animal that is there in captivity, that is a tiger that is there in captivity in the zoo, and the one how he should be behaving if he would have been there in the natural habitat. The first paragraph here tells us about the tiger which is there inside the cage in his vivid stripes, very bright stripes he is having there, and he is walking in anger and in quietness. He is walking there quietly in the cage, right? And the softness of his pads have been compared to the softness of velvet, and there is metaphor over here because it is written pads of velvet. Okay, so direct comparison has been made, so it is metaphor over here. And he is angry because he has been captured and he's been kept inside the cage, but still he's keeping that anger inside him and he is very quiet. Very quietly in anger, he is stalking, he's just walking in anger there inside the cage itself. Now, the second paragraph tells us what he should actually be doing at that time. He should be there in the nature, in free air, and he should be lurking in shadow. He should be hiding himself quietly there in the shadow, and then very smoothly he should be passing through the long grass, and he should be waiting there near the water holes for the healthy, hefty deer. His food, right, that he should be doing. So the second paragraph is describing the tiger that is there outside. It's not there in captivity. So he should be doing that. Actually, he should not be there in the cage. Rather, he should be outside hunting for his food. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Again, the third paragraph also tells us about the tiger, what he should be doing if he would be there outside in the free. So he should be snarling around. Snarling is making sounds with the growling sounds with the help of the nose that they make, the animals. So he should be doing that around the houses. There are certain houses which are there at the edge of the jungle, and he should be throwing his teeth uncovered there, his fangs, his teeth uncovered there, and his claws, and he should be terrorizing the people. He should be making the people afraid. The people should be frightened of the tiger. That is actually what a tiger is meant for. But he is not allowed to do that. Rather, he is living inside the cage there. But he is locked in the concrete. The third here again tells us about what he should be doing. The second and third paragraph tell us about what he should be doing actually in nature. But he is captivated there in the cell there, the cage there that is made out of concrete, right? And he just keeps on walking to the length and the breadth of the cage, and he is keeping his anger inside him. He is not able to bring that anger outside, and the visitors, they keep on coming and staring at him, and he just keeps on ignoring them, and he doesn't relish the visit of the visitors or the people who come to see him. And how the nights they pass. When he is there inside the cage, he hears the sound of the patrolling cars. The cars there, they are patrolling there. They are on the round. The night duty is there. And there, from inside the cage only, he is staring at the brilliant stars. And he also has got brilliant eyes, but the irony is that those brilliant eyes are staring at the brilliant stars, but through the cage, the bars of the cage, he is doing that. So beautifully the poet has described over here the pathetic condition of the wild creatures which are kept in captivity in the zoo, in the cages, and what actually they should be doing there if they would be there in the natural habitat, right? If we look at the last word of each line in each stanza, we find that the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, C, B. Now, let's have a look at the poetic devices used in the poem. Metaphor, which is a direct comparison between two objects sharing one common quality. So here, pads of velvet, the smoothness of the pads and the smoothness of the velvet, they've been compared directly. That is why there is metaphor over here. Then personification. Personification is there when you give human attributes to any inanimate object or an animal. So here the poet has talked of the tiger using the pronoun he. So it is personification. Next, alliteration. Behind bars. So behind bars, if you see the phrase, then there is alliteration because the repetition of the similar sound is there. Now let us do the exercise. The first question here deals with the selection of the words that deal with the movement and the action of the tiger, so that you can easily do with the help of the word list, that glossary that we have done earlier. You know the meaning of the words now. Then they ask you to describe in separate columns the two places, and then you have to arrange them in columns. The two places are, one is the zoo and the other one is the natural habitat of the tiger. So you have to separately write the words that tell you that it is a natural habitat and the words which tell you that it is the zoo. Okay. Now the second question here asks us, what is the effect of the repetition of the words quiet in the lines given here and brilliant in the lines given over here. So now here, this effect, it tells us about the emphasis that the poet wants to make on these ideas that he has written over here, that very quietly, he's so angry from inside, but he's keeping that anger inside him, and then very quietly he is walking there inside the cage. So just to emphasize those things, that notion that the poet wanted us to know, he has used the repetition over here of the word quiet. And here it is so ironical that the brilliant stars are being looked by the brilliant eyes, the shiny brilliant eyes of the tiger. He's such a brilliant animal, made to be live in the natural habitat, and the irony is that he is there watching he's looking at those brilliant stars from behind the bars. So that is why the word brilliant has been repeated, to let the readers know and lay the emphasis there that the brilliant stars and the brilliant eyes of the animals, they are behind the bars, and he's just watching at the stars from behind the bars. So he wants that we should be knowing this fact, that he's not meant to stare at the stars or gaze at the stars from behind the bars. Then if we see the third one, then here they are wanting our ideas on wildlife conservation. Should the animals be kept inside a zoo or not? So all that your ideas you should be writing over here, whether you think that conservation and protection is necessary for them or not. So your ideas about wildlife conservation you have to note down over here. These reference to context are for homework. That's all for now. See you in the next video. Stay home, stay safe.